You ever notice how dreams feel so real sometimes, like you can smell the rain, feel the air, touch things, and for a moment, you forget you're asleep? That's how it started for me. Just a dream. At least, that's what I thought. I remember lying in bed one night, exhausted but restless. The kind of tired where your body wants to sleep, but your mind refuses to shut up. Eventually, I drifted off, and when I did, it felt perfect. Warm air, a golden sky, birds singing somewhere far away. I was standing in an open field that looked endless. Everything was so peaceful, but there was something off. The air didn't move. The clouds didn't shift. Even the birds, they weren't moving. They were frozen mid-flight, wings suspended like a photograph. And then I heard it, a soft humming behind me, familiar. I turned around, and there I was, myself, standing just a few feet away. Same face, same clothes. But the eyes, they were wide open, and the mouth was moving silently, like it was trying to speak, but no sound came out. I wanted to wake up right then, but I couldn't move. I couldn't even blink. The copy of me smiled, and when it did, the world twitched like a glitch. The sky cracked for a second, a faint black line cutting through it, then healed again. And that's when I realized this wasn't a dream, or if it was, it wasn't mine. I tried to speak, to ask what was happening, but my voice didn't work. The other me stepped closer, tilting its head like it was studying me. Then it whispered, not out loud, but inside my head, keep dreaming. The ground beneath me opened like water, and I fell fast through layers of shifting faces, places I half remembered, voices from my childhood, all screaming at once. Then everything went dark. When I woke, I was in my bedroom. Morning light, everything normal, except I couldn't move my legs. Sleep paralysis, I thought. It had happened before. But then, I saw my reflection in the mirror across the room. It was standing up. The reflection stared at me. I was still lying down, unable to move, but the reflection took a step forward. Another, then another, until it was no longer in the mirror. The air felt thick, heavy. I tried to scream, nothing came out. The thing leaned over me and whispered in my ear, "You're still dreaming." My body jolted, and suddenly I was falling again. Only this time, I landed in a hallway. Long, endless, dim light flickering above. Doors on both sides, stretching as far as I could see. I ran. I didn't know why, but I felt like something behind me was following, something that wasn't supposed to exist. Every door I passed had something scratching from the inside. Some whispered my name. When I finally opened one, I wished I hadn't. Inside was me again. Dozens of me, each one frozen mid-scream, eyes wide, mouths open, as if they'd been trapped mid-terror. And every one of them slowly turned their heads to look at me. One of them spoke. "You shouldn't have opened it." The door slammed shut. I kept running, but the hallway started to twist, folding in on itself like a maze. The lights flickered faster, and then silence. I looked back. The hallway was gone. Now I was in my childhood bedroom. The same posters, the same tiny bed, everything exactly the way it used to be, except there was a shape under the blanket, something breathing, swallowed, rhythmic. I stepped closer, pulled the blanket down. It was me again, a younger version, maybe 10 years old, lying there, eyes wide open, staring straight up at the ceiling. And when his eyes moved to look at me, his mouth stretched open, wider than any human mouth could, and he screamed. Not a normal scream. It sounded mechanical, broken, like feedback from a dying radio. Then the lights went out. I felt hands grabbing my ankles, dragging me under the bed. The floor opened up again, swallowing me into complete darkness. I landed somewhere wet. The smell of rot hit me instantly. Something was moving in the shadows, dozens of figures crawling, whispering. Their words didn't make sense at first, until they did. They were all saying the same thing. "Wake up, wake up, wake up," I screamed back. "I'm trying." And that's when I saw it. A tall, faceless figure, its skin stretched tight, its head tilted just slightly, standing in the corner. Every time I blinked, it got closer, and when it finally stood right in front of me, it leaned down and whispered, "Dreams don't end when you wake up. They just change rooms." I felt something crawl into my mouth. I tried to spit it out, but it kept going down my throat, into my lungs. I couldn't breathe. Everything faded. Then, I was awake, this time for real. I sat up, gasping, drenched in sweat. The room looked normal again. Morning sunlight, birds chirping, but then my phone buzzed. A notification, a photo, from an unknown number. It was a picture of me, sleeping, taken just seconds ago. My blood ran cold. I looked around, nobody there. Then the phone buzzed again. Another message. It said, "You're late, time to go back to sleep." And I don't know why, but I did. I laid back down, eyes heavy, and as I drifted off, I saw the shadow at the edge of my bed smile again. Before darkness took over, I heard the same whisper, the same words that have haunted me ever since. You never woke up. Chest, like someone sitting there waiting. My throat was raw, like I'd been screaming for hours. I tried to move, but my arms didn't respond. My fingers twitched, slow, sluggish. My body wasn't mine anymore. It was like I was borrowing it. Then I noticed something. There was someone sitting in the corner of my room, barely visible in the shadows. A figure, still, watching. "Who are you?" I whispered. The figure didn't answer. It just tilted its head exactly the way I would. Same angle, same movement. I blinked, and when I opened my eyes, the figure was sitting on the edge of my bed. It smiled. My smile. "You shouldn't have woken up," it said softly, in my own voice. "Every time you do, something takes your place." I tried to scream, but no sound came out. The thing leaned closer, its face flickering between mine and something else, something hollow. And then, it whispered, "You're not real anymore." The room began to ripple, walls breathing in and out. The air grew thick, like fog, like liquid. And suddenly, I was falling. Straight through my bed, through the floor, through endless darkness. I landed hard, in water. Freezing, black water that stretched in every direction. I gasped for air. But when I looked up, I saw hundreds of versions of myself floating upside down beneath the surface, their eyes open, mouths moving silently. The water began to rise, swallowing the sky. And then, I heard a faint lullaby. A woman's voice. Soft, gentle, familiar. I turned and saw her. My mother. She was standing on the water, humming that old tune she used to sing when I was little. But her eyes were hollow. Her smile didn't reach her face. Her skin was cracked like porcelain. "Mom?" She reached out her hand. "You've been dreaming too long, sweetheart. It's time to come home." I hesitated. My chest burned. The water was dragging me under. I grabbed her hand, and the second I did, everything shattered like glass. Now I was in my childhood home. The same smell of old wood, the same flicker of the hallway light, except it was empty, too empty. On the walls hung portraits of my family, but every face had been scratched out, except mine. And in each picture, my eyes were open, wide, like I was watching. I walked down the hall. The floorboards groaned beneath me. From behind one of the doors, I heard voices, whispering, arguing. I pressed my ear against the door and heard my own voice again. But this time, there were two of me. "Stop waking up," one said. "I have to," the other answered. "It's not real." Then silence. I pushed the door open. Inside, two versions of me stood face to face. One looked exhausted, eyes sunken, trembling. The other was calm, smiling. They both turned to look at me at the same time. "There's three of us now," the calm one said. "Good," the tired one whispered. "Maybe now we can rest." Before I could move, they lunged at each other, clawing, screaming, their faces merging, tearing apart again. Blood or shadows splattered across the walls. I backed away, heart pounding, and the door slammed shut on its own. When I turned around, I wasn't in the hallway anymore. I was in a morgue. Rows of cold metal drawers lined the room. The air smelled like disinfectant and decay. A single light flickered overhead, and on the table in the center, a body covered with a white sheet. I didn't want to look. I already knew who it was. But my hands moved on their own, gripping the sheet, pulling it back. It wasn't me this time. It was them. All of them. Dozens of copies of me, stacked, twisted, lifeless, each one a little more distorted than the last. Some had smiles. Some had no faces at all. The fluorescent light buzzed louder and louder until it popped, plunging everything into darkness. Then I heard it, breathing, right beside me. I turned slowly and saw my reflection in a cracked mirror on the wall. Except it wasn't mirroring me. It was grinning. "Do you understand now?" It asked. "What is this?" I whispered. "What's happening to me? You're not dreaming," it said, still smiling. "You're remembering." "Remembering what?" "How you died." I stepped back. My stomach dropped. The room began to shake, drawers sliding open, bodies falling to the floor. The mirror image stepped out, glass slicing open like a doorway, and grabbed my wrist. Images flooded my mind, flashes of that night. The car, the rain, the headlights, the crash, the sound of my own heartbeat slowing to nothing. And then darkness. I wasn't waking up. I never had been. The reflection leaned in close, whispering into my ear, "You've been trying to wake up ever since the accident." I screamed, tearing my arm free, running, but the hallway stretched endlessly again, looping back on itself. Every door I passed showed a different version of me, sleeping, dreaming, screaming. And then I saw it, a door glowing faint blue, different from the rest. I ran toward it, slammed it open, and found myself back in my bedroom again. Exactly as it was before, except now someone was lying in my bed. As I stepped closer, my heart froze. It was me, peaceful, breathing softly, alive. I reached out to touch my sleeping self, and the eyes snapped open. It grabbed my arm and whispered, "I told you, it's your turn to sleep." Before I could react, everything went black. When I opened my eyes, I was sitting upright in a hospital bed, machines beeping. A nurse walked in, or something, wearing a nurse's face. She smiled. "Welcome back. You've been asleep a long time." I tried to speak, but my throat was dry. "Am I alive?" She tilted her head. "Does it matter?" The walls started melting again, turning into mirrors, endless reflections of me. Each reflection whispering in sync, "Wake up, wake up, wake up." The beeping grew faster, louder, until it became one long stream of static, and then silence. The nurse leaned close, her face splitting into 1,000 grinning versions of my own. She whispered, "You were never asleep. You had dreamed." The world blinked, and I was standing outside my own house, looking through the window. Inside, I saw myself sitting at the desk, writing these words. Every line, every sentence. I banged on the glass, but the other me didn't look up. He just kept writing, whispering softly, "Don't stop. The moment you stop, it finds you." I tried to shout, but no sound came out. And then, he turned slowly toward the window. Our eyes met. He smiled and whispered, "See you when you wake up." The lights inside went out, and the window became a mirror. Now, I don't know if I'm awake or still inside it. All I know is that sometimes, when I close my eyes, I hear the hum again, that same low, distant chanting. And every morning, there's a new note beside my bed, written in my handwriting, each one shorter than the last. Until tonight, because tonight's note only says, "You never woke up."